good morning and welcome once again. It's your show. This is Crossfire with Dapo and Ishoma. We apologize for starting a bit behind schedule. It was due to some technical glitches here and there, and that has been resolved. So your show is back to you, and I know you've been waiting, and we are back here. I have Ishoma Againe with me in the studio. Ishoma, good morning.
Good morning, Dapo, and good morning, beautiful people of Lagos, Nigeria. Welcome to Crossfire. All
right, our topic today, or probably the show today, is well packed. We have a very interesting story, coming your way, and at the same time, we have, someone in the house who will help us to just do justice to our discussion today. It promised to be a very, very, very interesting one, and you don't want to go nowhere. Now, as a matter of fact, we quickly will bring some stories, to you, just to keep you abreast of what is going on. Now, a very major story trending this morning is that the president of the Senate, Dr. Bukola Saraki, says that the Senate will debate the 2013 audit report of the Nigerian Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative in view of the mind-boggling, revelations of mismanagement contained therein. So the Senate will be talking about the NEITI report. And Dr. Saraki made in a statement yesterday that, it is really very instructive that Mr. Waziri led them, management led of the transparency body of the present, already present a copy of the 2013 audit report. And the Senate president, lauded the initiative of the boss, with his approach. And he said, this report will be formally presented, to the Senate, and it will be well debated to really know exactly what is happening. Now, we have been reliably told also that the troop rescued, that's a militant troop, rescued 247 Boko Haram captives, and they captured about 77 terrorists. If this report is anything to go by, peradventure, we may be rejoicing in the course of the day if one or two or three of the Chibok girls are actually included in this particular one. So the troop of the Nigerian Army have rescued 247 captives from the men of the Boko Haram sect in Borno State. Now, the acting director of the Army Public Relations, Colonel Sani Usman, said in a statement yesterday that captives were rescued by the troop of the 81 Battalion. Now, the 251 Task Force Battalion and 25 Task Force Brigade, were able to do a couple of these activities. So the constituent of the 247 rescued people have been put at 157 and 47 women, 91 children, and 19 men constituted, the whole lot of 247 people. All right, due to time, we may not be able to bring you so much of our trending stories. We'll go to the topic of the day, and it's really very interesting. Now, with all the information we have out there about the activities of the militants in the Niger Delta, now, as a matter of fact, yesterday, something came up that is really mind-boggling, and that is the bombing that took place at the Chevron oil well. This was prevented on Sunday by the, joint militant force against the Niger Delta Avengers. But as a matter of fact, they succeeded yesterday, early hours of yesterday, to still bomb the Chevron, oil well. And this is really very, very mind-boggling. And at the same time, we know that the Avengers have been agitating for a couple of things. But the militants yesterday came up and say, we are pro-Biafra. And they give June 3rd, which is tomorrow, as an ultimatum. And the militant said, and they've given the federal government this ultimatum, come June the 3rd, 2016, to release the corpses of the 10 pro-Biafra agitators that were killed, during the riot. Now, the ultimatum is coming 4 days after some supporters of the movement for the actualization of the sovereign state of Biafra were killed during a clash with security agencies in Onitsha, in Anambra State. Now, the militant also threatened to avenge unprovoked, killing of the Biafra supporters by the security operatives. Let's quickly also tell you that the Niger Delta Avengers, succeeded in actually bombing not only one but two of the Chevron oil wells. That's RMP-23 and RMP-24. Also, the Niger Delta militants declared support for the Biafra, and they gave an ultimatum to federal government. We already told you that. And then again, the Avengers gave a very stern warning to particularly from the north, to express outrage over the threat by the militants to assassinate the president. The president of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, will be visiting the Niger Delta today as scheduled. And they've told him, if you come here today, we will kill you. And that is really very mind-boggling. Now, we have Professor Chris NWAOKOBIA in the studio with us. Professor Chris NWAOKOBIA Jr. I always meet that junior out. You see, because as we speak now, it will make reference to my father told me, and don't forget, he's a very ardent follower of the current president, and at the same time, don't forget, he has all his tutelage and all his experience following Martin Luther King Jr. And so with that, that is actually a pro-Nigerian, as a matter of fact. Now, Ishoma Prof, we have a problem in our hands. The Boko Haram activities have not stopped, even though we seems to be getting results, even though they are coming in trickles. But really and truly, mind-boggling revelation is that the Avengers are actually on rampage, and they are wreaking havoc, and to the extent that they are committing treason at the moment, threatening or issuing threats to the president of Nigeria. If you come to the Ogoni land today, we will kill you.
That they have will not just go, over time, their activities, they have not just threatened the president, they have threatened the sovereignty of Nigeria, they have threatened the peace of Nigeria. That is not just a threat to Mr. President, they have issued several threats to the people of Nigeria.
Now, so on Crossfire today, we're going to be discussing something really very interesting. Niger Delta survival, or Nigerian survival as it were, military force or negotiation. What exactly should the government of Nigeria do? That's exactly our focus on the show today. Now, Prof, is Buhari in control? You are a Buhari signer, and that's why I want us to start, on a very calm note. Is the president in control?
Dakbo, it's my pleasure to be here, but let me say this, that that question is a bit ambiguous. The reasons are simple. The law that he swore to uphold gives him the right as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Not only is he the president, but he's the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. And he has the right and the authority to marshal troops whenever he chooses to, and when the situation makes it imperative to do so. But I think that what bothers me here is not, I know he's in control, but what bothers me here is how do we apply that control? How do we enforce that control? Because what is happening in the Niger Delta is worrisome. It gives serious cause for concern on three major fronts. There's a threat to the sovereignty of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. There's a threat to our economy, that's national sabotage. And then there is an individual threat, that's the third, to the life of our president. And I do not think that these things are right. Much as I agree that there are several reasons for which to agitate, I do not think that violence in any form or shape is a plausible way to agitate. I repudiate violence by every intendiment and color.
Can I interject you, Prof? President Muhammadu Buhari took over the mantleship of either directing or driving or taking this country to another level. I mean, he rode on the change mantra, and Nigerians went en masse. They did not just vote for his party. They went en masse out in support of his candidature and eventually his election as the president of Nigeria. But as a matter of fact, in 1 year, it's 365. The show today is not addressing what he has been able to do or not do in 365 days that he took over the mantleship of this country. But the concern really is about the security of life and property, which he pledged to deliver to Nigerians. And we can see, problem in the northeastern part of Nigeria, not only in the northeastern part, in the core north, even in the northeast, the north-south, the north-central, all of them are war-ravaged. Now we have another one coming very strong, in the Niger Delta. And I stand to be corrected. This is just my opinion. I think the president hasn't fared well in terms of security or securing Nigerians.
No, I think that you're the first person who's making that error. You're the first person who is scoring him low in terms of national.
Remember, for the
national
security.
The headman crisis is still lingering.
I think that apart from this new resurgence of militancy in the South, in Ijoland, if you like, we have had sizable success against the Haramists in the North. And then there is no vista of violence that you have in this country today that's not been there before now. So the point is he protecting Nigeria? He's doing his best at that. The Boko Haram, which was a major, and which of course is adjudged the deadliest terrorist organization in the history, in our recent history.
I think the Avengers are fast taking over.
In the world, Boko Haram has been decimated sizably, and you just read it out in the news. Now, I have a major concern with the marauding headsmen. I have a major concern with the issue of the resurgence of militancy in the South. But be that as it may, these things are being attended. In line with the topic of today, which of course, because you cannot on the one hand say he's not dealing with it, and then you're asking whether he should use military might or negotiate. Exactly. I am a fan of peaceful resolution of conflicts. My mentors, Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., and then after Mandela spent 27 years in prison, he came out and he repudiated violence. There is no just war because you didn't create life. There is no just military action when it results in the loss of lives. I think they can be just military action. In this case, we're talking about the issue of arson. We're talking about the issue of vandalism here. Threat to the national sovereignty of Nigeria. I mean, come on, that is justifiable all over the world. Every conflict, every war ends up on the negotiation table. And I ask myself, why do you have to go to war when you can actually exhaust dialogue? And I do sincerely believe that every militant in the Niger has someone to whom he is accountable. And I do sincerely believe that what government must do is to engage the people proactively. I repudiate violence in its entirety.
We have the issue about the agitators, that's the Biafran agitators. Now, if they see now that the government of Nigeria is considering negotiation with the Niger Delta militant group, don't you think this can give a leverage to other agitators to begin to put their own cases on the table, probably cause trouble here and there to get the attention of the government?
No, Prof, I'm not going to take your response.
Let me deal with that. No, because it's very important. Let me tell you why it's important. You can engage the militants.
Can you cease fire, Prof? Can you cease fire? I want to go on a short break. But we've been talking on the show, is it military might or negotiation with the issues in the Niger Delta? We'll be right back after now. All right, we're back and it's still Crossfire with Dakpan Ishoma. We have Professor Chris NWAOKOBIA Jr. in our studio, and we'll be discussing what exactly should be the approach of federal government to the militancy in the Niger Delta. Military might or negotiation? I mean, I don't know what your thought is on this topic, but we've been trying to see how much of analysis we can really provide on the show. So, Prof, over to you.
Let me take you to historical analysis of issues like this. The strongest and the most recent of such major agitations was the IRA in Northern Ireland, in the United Kingdom. And you know what happened? They were violent, there were bombings, there were terrorist activities, but what the United Kingdom did was to talk with them, engage them. Because when you advocate
the president of Nigeria.
Let me. When you engage them violently, don't forget that it will be foolhardy of us to say that they don't have any reason to agitate. It will be foolhardy for us to say that the Biafrans do not have any reason to agitate. It will be unjust, and it will be walking around circles. Now, whatever the agitations are, there's a solution to it. And the solution is in true fiscal federalism, devolution of power, resource control, and the restructuring of the Nigerian enterprise along the lines of equity, justice, and fairness. That's fundamentally it. And then when you realize that this solution can actually solve the restiveness in the Southeast, solve the restiveness in the South-South, and make every component part of this country at peace. Okay? When you realize that, what you do is engage the people proactively. I think that if you do violence, I think that if you use military action, it will exacerbate the crisis and the conflict in the Niger Delta. It will lead us to conflicts and greater conflagration, and I don't think it is right. Now that a child is behaving unruly should not mean that the father would get down to that same level. It obviously calls for calling the child to caution.
Why didn't the militant try, first of all, to engage government and try as much as possible, as many times as they can, and put their negotiation on? They've already gone to avenge themselves. And so, I mean,
that will also consider some of their demands also, the release of the famous Nnamdi Kanu also, the release of the former NSA advisor, Mr. Sambo Dasuki, the defreezing, Mr. President also ordering the EFCC to also defreeze some of the confiscated assets of the ex-militant leader, Mr. Tompolo. Now, when you look at some of these issues, do you think it's something the government of Nigeria, in its right senses, should agree to sit on a negotiation table and say, okay, well, let's hear your agitations. Can we grant you some of these things? We know resource control, it's a good thing. It's invariably good for the country, for the
This is not even a resource control thing. This is
beyond that. The issue of kidnapping, the issue of pipeline vandalism, arson, here and there, it has gone beyond negotiation.
Ishoma,
that's what some people are saying.
At no point should we think that the weapon of negotiation, mark my use of word, the weapon of peace, the force of proactive dialogue should be thin. At no point should we think that we should be short on it. At no point. I do sincerely believe that the strongest way to resolving conflicts and crises of any kind is dialogue. It's peaceful resolution. That's point number one. Point number two, are their demands logical and possible? I think that most of the demands are illogical. I think that their actions must be condemned by every well-meaning Nigerian. But I do sincerely want to say here that if you say to the Nigerian armed forces, descend on them, you ask yourself, where are you going to descend on? In the process of descending on them, they blow up more pipelines. The economic tragedy, conflict of the country will deepen.
They have already drawn the battle line. They are not tolling the path of peace.
If you allow violence, for violence, you will destroy our economy the more.
It's not violence.
If you allow military action is violence. Military action is violence.
So how do you interpret what the militants are doing?
It's been destroyed already.
It hasn't been destroyed. It hasn't been destroyed. Some have been destroyed. No.
What is the state of
the militants? What are they doing right now?
No, do you want it to get worse? That's the question.
What is the state of electricity
No, do you want it to get worse?
What is the state of the economy today?
I think a different approach will bring about a solution.
I don't think so.
I don't see it.
I've seen military actions across the world. I'm a student of contemporary history. I've seen it, and I've seen the military action gets makes a bad situation worse.
If you want equality, you come with a clean hand.
Military action,
they have not provided any platform.
Military action makes a bad situation worse. And that's what those who are advocating military action are inadvertently.
So when they go to negotiation table now, all the havoc they've already wrecked, what is government just going to say, okay, we understand why you did that.
Would you rather that more havoc is wrecked? Simple question.
I just want the issue controlled.
No, will you rather?
If it's going to take a military might to stop their activity, I don't.
No, so impliedly you're saying you want more havoc, but I'm saying
no. I'm not saying. I'm saying
that I don't
military might.
May
be the way out.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, why are we using military might for Boko Haram?
I don't think so.
Why are we using military arm for
There's a lot
Boko
of difference between the agitation in the south and the agitation of the Boko Haram is a threat. Is a threat that has a religious coloration. This is a threat that has an economic coloration. And I think they're fundamentally different.
I think we should see it as threats.
I think the what we must do,
threat.
And I want to say this strongly. I think that what this country must do is to exhaust the fulcrum, the ambience of dialogue in resolving most of our problems. Because an eye for an eye will leave the world full of blind men.
David wants to talk to you, Prof.
A tooth for a tooth will leave the world with toothless men.
Help us pick this call, Prof.
Hello, David.
Hello, I said, Prof, you picked the call.
Good morning, Mrs. Sherman,
Good morning.
How are you?
Good
morning.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
Yes. You know, I've said this before, and I'm trying to say it again.
Okay.
You see, the problem, we must be sincere to ourselves first. Now, in the west, in the southwest, in those days, where we have cocoa, what has cocoa have done to Niger Delta at that particular time, when they have not discovered oil? What are minings and the granules of the north has done to Niger Delta?
What has the coal in Enugu done? Yes.
So what I'm trying to say right now is this. The almost 60% of Nigerian revenue came from that from the Niger Delta. And people used to say, go and meet their governor, go and meet their House of Press. How many times have you seen governor or House of Press build any federal things in the state? It is federal government that normally build anything. Federal government built Abuja. Federal government built Lagos State. Have they built Niger Delta? How many towers, 10-story or 20-story building you can see in that place? Those people have been crying for almost 50 years. They are crying. There's nothing like federal government have done. They only if they give anybody this money, they only give few people who are their political mates. They don't give the social people. And I've said the solution to this problem is this. It's either they take capital of Nigeria to Niger Delta, or they start giving unborn child.
Okay.
They start giving unborn child the profit of the revenue that come from Niger Delta. That's the only way. All the Niger Delta people, we know that Nigerians are taking care of the resources they are using.
Thank you very much. Point well taken, David. Thank you so very much. That's on point. Let's quickly take this other one, and then Prof can respond. Hello, Obi.
Hello, Ethan.
How are you doing?
Good morning.
I'm fine. I'm Mr. Obi from Sunga.
All right. Thanks for calling. Let's take your thoughts.
Yeah, I thank God for the topic you are discussing today. It's a burning issue.
All right.
As a matter of fact, I think going headlong to use force against force is not necessary at this time, because just like the man at the center said, the Avengers, or whatever the name is, are still children of the president. And you don't throw a child with
the bad water.
So in a situation like this, and they have reasons to say, the best way to go is dialogue, because no one could set the capacity of this school at this time. And then Nigeria has a lot of problems sometimes. Boko Haram in the northeast, Niger Delta Avengers, then the issue of IPOB recently. So how many trouble would the president handle at the same time?
All right.
So thank you very much. I'm thinking
so much,
that dialogue is the best way to go. Thank you.
Dialogue is the best way. All right. Hello. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning.
Good to have you on the show.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Let's take your thoughts quickly.
I have always followed the antecedents of your guest. Doctor.
Professor.
Prof. Now a Prof. I have always followed his antecedents way back in early days of Obasanjo and what he stood for, the injustices he stood for. My question to him this morning, does he still see himself in that light today?
Okay.
Are you still projecting to see that Nigeria belongs to all of us, or Nigeria now belongs to a particular cabal, like you have always stood for and fight for?
Okay.
I've been young and I've been following you till today, and I don't know whether you have changed your stance. I want to know that now.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay.
Because what is
Thank you very much, Richard. Your point is well taken. I can even answer that question for Prof. I don't know what it used to be really, but I know what it is now. So
don't answer for me. The truth is that for me, it's always been country first. For me, it's always been about the Nigerian people. And that's why I align myself with call for dialogue rather than war. That's why I think that the time has come for us to address the injustices that exist in the Nigerian space. The time has come for us to etulate the fire of conflict. And the way to go is to engage the indigenous people of Biafra. I am not saying release Nnamdi Kanu. I'm saying address the issues. I am saying here again that the issues of the Niger Delta Avengers and what affects the South-South, the time has come to address those fundamental issues. I'm not saying give money like they gave in the name of amnesty for criminality. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the time has come to turn the Niger Delta site into a huge construction site. Build schools, build roads, engage the people, and you find out that it will be the parents of these militants that will call them and say, my Pekin, stop this crisis.
I have a question for you, Prof.
Because something is happening at the level
I have a question for you. When it was
No.
time to negotiate with Boko Haram, we fought it down.
Exactly.
We said, no, don't negotiate with terrorism.
Exactly.
What is happening in the Niger Delta?
I didn't fight it
That's
down.
fought it.
Now,
I fought
now
it.
you are different from me.
Exactly.
Because for 7 months,
Yes.
and you remember, for 7 months, I wore a long beard calling for discussion, dialogue with Boko Haram for 3 reasons. The first was the daughters of Chibok, innocent girls who were taken away.
Yes,
the
I remember.
second is the insecurity, the bludgeoning of what you call internally displaced people in Nigeria.
I remember
and then
you
the
said that.
third was the monumental resources that we're spending in war. And these are fundamental positions, and I maintain them. And those who tell you that you don't discuss or negotiate with terrorists are liars, because they do.
So the approach
Let
of
me
the
give you
federal
practical.
government
No, Nigerians
to
would
Boko
love to hear
Haram,
this.
you are not
Nigerians
in
would love to hear
support.
this.
Yes.
Wait, Nigerians would love to hear this. Americans negotiate with terrorists. They did that with the Taliban. The United Kingdom negotiates with terrorists. They did that with the Irish Republican Army. Okay? Nations have always talked with them.
We've seen the
Hold on,
military might.
It is important.
We have
It
seen
is-
the military might also
it is important.
in fighting terrorism and terrorists.
Let's not make this. Let's not remove from this reality.
Okay.
True or
There
false?
is nowhere in the world where you have shut down terrorism through military warfare. The Russians tried it in Afghanistan for 12 years. They were in war. They couldn't win. You can't defeat those who are ready to die, because it is a mutation. Another set of idiots will arise. What is necessary is to address, nip in the bud, what grows terrorists. Nip the injustices that makes terrorists some people's heroes. Because whether you like it or not, one man terrorist is another man's hero. And then I think that the time has come for us to address the issues and address them frontally. Do we think that going to war against renegades and villains is the way out? I don't. I think that addressing the fundamental issues and cutting the problem in the bud is the solution. And I do sincerely believe that Nigeria needs to address the fundamental issues. I am surprised that after being in power with Obasanjo for about 8 years and having been in politics, it is just now that Atiku Abubakar realizes that there's need for restructuring. I know that the time has come for us to restructure this country along the line of true federalism. And if we do that, this jangling discord of conflict and crisis will etiolate.
Okay, now I look at this. I look at the federal government, and a lot of people have, certain worries that this government doesn't look like it's ready to let go, particularly in terms of giving true federalism to its components, because it seems like the government at the center wants to hold on so much power in a bid to fight corruption. Now, that is one of the core agitations of the Niger Delta group. Do you think President Muhammadu Buhari is ready to give Nigerians true federalism?
I think our president...
If you go that route, you are talking simply about resource control.
Basically, that's what it is.
I think that our president is logical. I think that they will come to that, because fundamentally, to think
Now, Prof,
that,
do you believe in resource control?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I believe in true fiscal federalism. I believe in resource control. I believe in devolution of power. I believe that this country must be true to what it says on paper.
Okay.
If you call yourself the Federal Republic of Nigeria, in federalism, power devolves from the units. What we have is a unitary system, and that is untrue to what we say on paper. The time has come for us to be true to what we say on paper. As the Federal Republic of Nigeria, we must stop the system where states come to the center as beggarly appendages. We must empower the states and the federating units to make this country successful again. In the First Republic, when we had beautiful cities springing up, when we had television before France and some of the West, it was because the regions had control of their resources and contributed to the upkeep of the center.
Yeah.
Until we return to that halcyon moment, until we return to that structure that made our country great, our desire for progress will be like expecting magic. I think that because no human being is a magician, I do not think that my president is infallible. And because I know that he's not infallible, the time has come for us to address these issues. Okay. Those who think that you must have a superpower federal government are unfair. Those who think that you must have an almighty federal government are unfair to this country. The time has come for us to address these fundamentals, and when we do, and quickly too, these vistas of conflict and crisis will disappear. I do sincerely believe that if we descend militarily on the villains and the brigands in the Niger Delta and elsewhere, what you will do is to increase the bile of anger and hate. And obviously the Nigerian army will defeat them. But if you win the war, are you sure you're going to win the battle?
That's it.
I think that fundamentally,
there's a dimension to this.
Issues.
We have the Fulani headsmen thriving. We have the pro-Biafra, agitation. We have Boko Haram still, they're still existing. We probably have gone a very long way in actually curbing their activities and all of that, even though they raised their ugly head, a few days back, where they show up in about 5 local governments, in the northeast. And now we have the Niger Delta.
I want to add the issue of kidnapping.
And now we have the Niger Delta.
Kidnapping also.
All of this is pointing to the fact that, we do not have a secured country. And you are saying that the president really have achieved milestone in providing security of lives and property to Nigerians with all of these elements of security, not in control of the federal government?
Can I say this? That fundamentally, this crisis and conflict that is in the Niger Delta is basically in just about 2 states, Delta State, my home state.
I'm not even saying...
No, let me lie.
Yeah, okay.
If you listen to me like I did, you will understand where I'm going to. Delta State and Bayelsa State. There is no territory of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that's under villainous control, none. Which obviously means that in terms of protecting the integrity, the territorial integrity of this country, the president has done well. Now, what is important? I just got the point.
Okay,
To beg the point, is there any territory of Nigeria under villainous control, under terrorist control?
Most likely. Anambra State has been hot in the last few days.
There is none. There is no territory of this country under terrorist control. That's point number 1. Then point number 2, can we enforce, can we enhance national security? Yes, we can. What is the best way to enhance national security? Proactive dialogue, proactive engagement, rather than violence. What happened?
I remember also that this government, during the elections, talked so much about the need for state policing. We're yet to see that, which obviously we have argued is a good way
with state
for
policing
security.
have worked in this. With state policing have worked or done anything different in this scenario.
Second question also to you, Prof. Now, look at the issue. You talked about resource control. We know that resource control will put more power, will give more power to the state government and the local government respectively. But we have seen governors, ex-governors in this same country, even without resource control, become richer than some countries. True or false?
I don't think that argument should defeat.
It will not defeat. But yet I am yet to see the fight against corruption be more concrete.
No, don't worry. Inshallah, let's get to don't answer your own question.
I am yet to see the government fight corruption to that level where even when President Muhammadu Buhari leaves office, the institution itself is threatened to the point that it represents corruption. None of that is happening.
Now you don't have a question.
Why should I have
because you have answered your question. But let me say this. The important thing we must note here is that when I hear people say state governors wasted resources, does that change the fact that you have fundamental issues of restructuring that is necessary? Federal governments wasted more resources. So that's like robbing Peter to pay Paul. Okay. I think that the fundamentals is fixing our country. When you have a restructuring along the line of true fiscal federalism and devolution of power, you will have state policing. That answers that.
Okay.
And then interestingly, let me say
that sounds logical. Can we take this last call and so that we can end up on the show? Hello, good morning, Obi.
Good morning.
Welcome back.
Welcome.
Yes, sir. What I'm trying to say is that the Niger Delta people, according to what people have seen, they are trying to fight for their rights. And the question is this: the people who owns our oil block, they are ordinary civil servants in those days. The people who own so many many companies in Nigeria today, industry, they are ordinary civil servants who cannot even be able to buy Okada. But today, they are flying with jets. They have their own private aeroplane.
So what's the point, Obi?
Yes, my point is this. People are taking what they are like fighting for what they thought this belonged to them, and they are now holding by individuals out of their own region. There are many. I'm very sorry to say that word. I'm very sorry, sir.
No, it's okay.
There are people, a lot of northerners and southwest who owns oil blocks. And how many oil blocks Niger Delta people owns? And these are the people. These are their own resources.
All right.
These are the problems that that the Nigerian presidencies have to resolve.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Obi. It will surprise Obi that a lot of Niger Deltans have oil blocks. Let's take you.
True. Yeah. Interestingly, let me say this, because I think we were winding down, and
yes.
I tried to encapsulate most of the issues we've raised here.
Okay.
First, I lampoon, I criticize, and I repudiate the conflict and the violence in the Niger Delta. I am against what the Niger Delta Avengers are doing. We must get that clear. And then secondly, I think that there are several issues for which they agitate.
Yeah.
They call for resource control, they call for devolution of powers, they call for true fiscal federalism. These are fundamental issues, and I align myself with the need to restructure the Nigerian enterprise along the line of justice, equity, and fairness. That taken, I want to say that the fight against corruption must be deepened. It should devolve beyond just those who served at the federal level and include those who served at the state level. We must ensure that we create new paradigms and new margins in our country, such that corruption will be treated as anathema. But I want to say here that those who think that because some people are provoking the Nigerian government at the level of the Niger Delta and the Morodi herdsmen, and that what we must do is descend with full might of the military on them, forget the fact that every act of violence, militarily or otherwise, will create more enmity and hate. And this country does not need more enmity and hate. The time has come for us to build the vistas of love, togetherness, and brotherhood. And what affects one directly affects the other indirectly. What affects the man Ekaite, perhaps, in Cross River State, affects Ufoma in Delta State directly or indirectly. What affects Usman in Karanomuda affects Funke in Abeokuta directly or indirectly. And I think that the time has come for us to look at this dispassionately and call for proactive engagement and dialogue. I tell you, Dakbo, I tell you, Shoma, when we do dialogue, when we do it proactively and progressively, we will etiolate, we will kill and diminish these problems and this discord. And we will have a peaceful Nigeria yet again.
All right.
We will have a country where the citizens truly love each other. We will have a country where the waters of peace will overtake the flood of violence. We will hew out of this mountain of despair a progressive stone of hope. And I sure believe that this country can walk out of these problems to the amazing place of promise.
All right. Your last word, I just want your last word on this before we go, is to ask you, 365 days of the president in office, where do you see the change coming?
I see change at the level of anti-corruption drive. I see change at the level of regaining our territory and ensuring that the Haramists and the villains in the Northeast have been decimated. I see change in setting new moral margins and new moral practice in governance. That is not to say that government has not made some mistakes. I think that the time has come for government to be far more inclusive and engaging of all the component parts of this country, and give to the nation a father figure image, which of course means that Mr. President must tell and show to the man in the Northeast that he loves him, and show to the man in the Southeast that he loves him.
Okay.
And then he must show to the one in the South that we all belong together. I think that fundamentally that is the way to go.
All right.
Treat the country in all its parts as one, and love your people genuinely and sincerely.
All right,
That's
this is how far we will go today. Thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you.
And on behalf of myself and Ishama, I will say bye for now. Join us tomorrow.
And say no to violence, please. God bless Nigeria.
To enjoy more of these our ogbonge videos when you just watch, press this button to subscribe on top of our YouTube page. You go love her.